So there's been a lot of talk about Negan in Tekken 7. A lot of people have asked me about him, and I've had many big discussions about him, so I figure it's time to talk about this bat-wielding maniac properly. I'll start by openly admitting that I do not watch The Walking Dead, nor do I have any interest in it, nor any interest in Negan as a character. Anything I say about Negan comes from either the perspective of fighting game design, what I have heard peripherally from others who have talked to me about Negan at length, and from the bare minimum research I have done in an attempt to understand the character and what he's about. Please feel free to correct me if I have misinterpreted anything. The fact that I'm even talking about a goddamn Walking Dead character in Tekken is sheer insanity. We've entered a ridiculous new age of guest characters in fighting games where there are literally no more limits to who can show up where. Tekken 7 alone has a guest character each from Street Fighter, King of Fighters, Final Fantasy, and now The Walking Dead. There's a good number of reasons why a fighting game would consider a guest character, which is a rather broad topic that I might talk about at length another time, but the most surface level of these is to make fans happy. Part of this involves being faithful to the character and reimagining their traits, abilities, and personality through fighting game mechanics. I personally think that Negan is an awful guest character pick because he doesn't belong in Tekken. And I feel I need to elaborate on what I mean because the term doesn't belong in Tekken is kind of moot in a fighting game with chainsaw robots, laser demons, breakdancing idols, and a panda that won the first Tekken World Tournament. When I say that Negan doesn't fit in Tekken, it's not because I don't think an insane bat-wielding killer doesn't belong in the world of Tekken. It's because I believe the medium of fighting games does not do justice to Negan as a character. Or maybe a fighting game could do it, but not Tekken. I feel that at the most basic level, a guest character in a fighting game should be able to express who they are through their abilities and personality in combat. Even Noctis, who has nothing to do with Tekken, is well represented in his gameplay because he can do the same moves he has in Final Fantasy XV. The thing about Negan that I've interpreted is that he is not a character who is best known for his impressive fighting skills. The things that make up the highlights of Negan's character are his charisma and his capacity for cruelty and violence against innocent or defenseless people, not his ability to do 10 strings. There's a reason that 50% of his reveal trailer is just talking and uncomfortable silence. Now, I looked it up, and yes, there are fight scenes in The Walking Dead. But fight scenes in The Walking Dead aren't so much about the fight as much as the context of the fight. When two characters fight in The Walking Dead, it's not about overcoming the other guy's strength, it's about a clash of ideals. It's about personal drama and character tension reaching its breaking point, not about landing a sick wall combo into a rage art. No one's watching this fight scene thinking, man, Negan's so cool, I wish he were in a fighting game. So how does Negan translate into actual gameplay? Well, Tekken's doing the best it can, putting in all sorts of nods and references to the original show, and I can respect that even if I don't get it myself. However, the more I watched the trailer, the more I began to notice how underwhelming his animations looked. Not for any sort of technical reason, he's animated very well, but really for how ordinary he is in combat. I'm no stranger to the I have no style fighting style. In fact, Tekken already has Miguel for that. The difference is that Miguel is allowed to be over the top and throw everything he's got into every decisive strike because he was made to be large and exceptionally powerful. Negan can't animate like that. Part of the horror of Negan is precisely because he's a completely ordinary man. He's not a muscular powerhouse like Miguel, and there's a sort of lazy, lackadaisical sway to his animations. If you did animate Negan to move like Miguel, he wouldn't look like Negan anymore. So the animation is true to the character as much as it can be, but it's not terribly exciting, at least not to anyone who isn't already a fan of Walking Dead. The concept of Negan as a fighter is admittedly a stretch because he doesn't so much fight people as he murders them, and there's a clear difference. Negan is only a threat in the context of The Walking Dead, where his opposition consists of scared survivors. He has power over someone when they are afraid of him and they are unable to fight back. This kind of becomes a problem in Tekken because part of Negan's presence is how he influences everyone around him. And no one in Tekken should reasonably be afraid of Negan because he's just a man with a bat. Look at this lineup here. Literally everyone in that back row would not hesitate to simply stand up and rage drive Negan into the dirt. If I were to adapt Negan as a playable character in a video game, it would have to be a game that enables you to do what Negan does. Prey on weaker foes who can't fight back and toy with their sense of dread. In fact, Negan would be perfect in a game like Dead by Daylight, where 4 other players are afraid of you by design. I'm not saying Negan is a bad character or that he shouldn't be in a video game, and I'm not at all saying that guest characters are a bad idea. At the end of the day, Harada can do what he wants because it's his game and I'm not asking him for shit. But I do think that even for wacky guest character appearances, that the choice of medium counts for a lot.